live. We'll see what happens this time around. I'm here by myself on YouTube, but maybe somebody will show up. All right. Raw Challenge says, Loren, you make your living surrounding yourself with people fasting, presumably year-round. How often do you water fast yourself? Yeah, we're currently open about 36 weeks a year for fasting, something like that. We take breaks between sessions. So it's not 100% of the time. It's not completely year-round. Good, we've already got 5 people here. So welcome back. I'm not sure what happened, but I see people are showing up again. I was hoping you would find your way back here. There's already 9 of you, 7 of you. How often do I fast? I fast these days only really when I have some specific reason to. And it's often because of some kind of an injury. You know, again, I'm as active as I have time to be. I love to be physically active, and I ride motorcycles and a quadricycle, and when I can, not very often and infrequently off-road these days, but a mountain bike for many years, rock climbing, body surfing mostly, sometimes on a surfboard. And, you know, I've injured myself, you know, with all these things and other things too. Sometimes just doing something silly or stupid, I've injured myself. I will fast anytime I need to heal from anything. Hello, Judy. Glad to have you back. Good morning to you. So I fast for those reasons and don't do much extended fasting anymore. Not so much for any reason other than, I mean, well, I guess there's 2 reasons. One, my body's pretty clean. So I recently fasted for 6 days, 2 weeks ago. None of my clients knew. You know, it's often obvious when they're fasting because they look weak and tired and have headaches and belly aches and, you know, etc. I was basically the same every day, giving my lectures and etc., talking to the clients. No one suspected even that I might not have eaten for nearly a week. And that's because when your body is clean, fasting, you know, if there's little detoxification going on, there's no discomfort, there's no weakness, there's no dizziness. I mean, all the symptoms occur not because you're not eating, but because you're detoxifying, at least the vast majority of them. And so I don't experience those. And so because of that, I know I don't have any significant need to fast. I also don't have much free time. When we're not open, I'm still doing hours of consultations every day. My vacations mean I work only from 5 until noon instead of from 5 until that's midday instead of from 5 until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And so it feels like I have a ton of free time when I've got 8, 9, 10 hours more than I normally do. But I haven't done much fasting other than for those kinds of things recently. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. I'm going to come back on your Facebook group. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're asking me. The link for the Zoom call today is on my Facebook page. You can go to my Facebook page to find that. Okay. Toby Svensson says, are there any new or planned restrictions in Costa Rica to be aware of? Not that I know of. Currently, Costa Rica is completely open to the world. If you are vaccinated, you don't need an insurance policy. If you're not vaccinated, you need to get a COVID-specific insurance policy in case you need to be hospitalized, which covers you for anything else. And so when I come back into the country, I have to make sure I buy that policy first. I'll be leaving the country again soon because I have I'm here on a tourist visa, which expires shortly and need to get going. Okay, Zolt. Oh, I'm sorry. Love yourself first. Please, Loren, what would your advice for the fastest healing of someone who has full body eczema? Oh, I answered the question, but unfortunately, you were no longer present. So I'll tell you quickly what I shared the first time. Is make sure your diet's optimal, right? And with someone who is dealing with any skin condition, I would always make sure it's high water content foods only, not just focus on that, but really try to, as much as possible, focus on high water content stuff. I guess not exclusively, but high water content food should be your focus. fruits, soft tender leafy greens, mono fruit meals, all organic. You want to eliminate the things that could possibly be issues, including toxins and pesticides and so forth. Make sure you're sipping at least 6 to 8 of these glasses per day. Okay, at least 6 to 8 of these per day. This is going to probably be a good idea for most people, but certainly for someone who's dealing with a skin condition, it would almost always be an issue, and I'd recommend that. And finally, the single most efficient and effective way to allow your body fasting long enough and properly. With a full body eczema, I would probably plan on fasting at least 26 days and maybe a bit longer. Obviously, each situation is different. I can't tell you here. I don't know any of your details, but you can complete an application form on the Tanglewood website, and I can respond to that at no cost and let you know what I suspect would be best for you. Ian 444444 has just made a 10-pound contribution and says, I know you teach that root canals are bad, but what about implants? It's a back tooth, so not so visible. So is it best to just extract and leave a gap? The problem was from an accident, not bad diet. Yeah, it's a great question. And this is it's probably worthwhile to talk to a holistic dentist to get a really expert opinion on this, because I'm not an expert in this area at all. I mean, I know people who leave gaps and don't have a problem. Other people leave gaps and their teeth move, and so sometimes it's useful to do something instead. There are several options. One option is a bridge. A bridge means they file down the teeth on either side and then put a false tooth in there, which is actually connected to the teeth on either side. That's one possibility. An implant is another one. In an implant, they drill into the jawbone and put a fake tooth there. And that can be, it's a reasonable solution, except that you have to drill into the bone to do it. And, the other way, you have to file the teeth down with a bridge. So neither of these are really excellent solutions. A third one is an appliance. It's essentially a retainer. Let's pretend it's a top tooth. It goes up here and holds a tooth in place. It has a fake tooth that's held there by this what's it called, an appliance that you put in your mouth. I personally don't like the way retainers feel. I had braces for 3 years and had to wear a retainer, and I didn't enjoy that at all. So I personally would probably prefer a more permanent solution, even though there's issues. Unfortunately, if we lose a tooth, we have to make some kind of a compromise. There's no really great solution here. Okay, that's what needs to happen. All right, I'll go to Zolt next. Zolt said, "Hi, Loren. I just joined change from Instagram, so you won't be alone here. Hee hee. And hopefully others would be able to see that YouTube Live is back." Yeah. There are now 24 people here. So I'm not sure what happened. I mean, people were dwindling and all of a sudden there was no one. And I thought there must be an issue here. So I'm glad you're back. Thanks so much. Skytree Girl, hello there. Sunshine, are dried mangoes drying my lips? Yes, I answered that question too. Dried fruit will dehydrate you and could be drying your lips. And no, it's probably just that. Yeah, it's probably just that. So yeah, you probably want to avoid dried fruit as much as possible. Maya says, hey, Loren, do you know about HPU, KPU? I'm sorry, but it's not ringing a bell. I'm not sure what that stands for. If you want to tell me, instead of the initials, tell me what that is, maybe I'll be familiar with that. In the meantime, I'm going to come over here to Serene, who says, Loren, can you share a few stories of severely underweight people fasting? I'm 80 pounds, 5'2", very low energy, practically bedridden. I'm doing a fast with you this session. Okay, so yes, I can. And at 5'2", 80 pounds isn't severely underweight. It's underweight, but you're 5'2", 80 pounds. So back in April, I had a 78-year-old man who was 6 feet tall and weighed 101 pounds. Okay. I had a last session. I think she left us back in late September, early October. We had a lovely woman from Southern California who is 5'6" and weighed 85 pounds. Again, so she's 4 inches taller than you. That should probably be at least 40 pounds of weight. And she weighed 5 pounds more than you. Okay, that would be like you weighing something like 60 pounds. Okay, that would be severely underweight. At 5'2", you're pretty small. Lots of people are going to be in the 80s. 80 might be low, but 90 wouldn't be such a big deal at 5'2". I mean, I've known many people who at 5'4", 5'5" were perfect at 110 pounds. And so again, being 2-3 inches shorter than that, we'd expect you to be 10 to 15 pounds lighter. So, 90, 80, 95 to 100 pounds would, might be more ideal. 80 is quite light, but you're not in any danger. Who else? I mean, we actually see quite a few people like this who are quite lean. I've worked with people who were 6 feet tall. Well, I mean, the skinniest was the guy who was 101 pounds, but there have been many others, 6 feet tall, 125 pounds, 130 pounds. Guzelle, who does my YouTube videos for the last several years, is 5'7" and weighed 88 pounds. 5'7", 88 pounds when she got here. That would be like you being like 50 pounds, something like that. So really, there's nothing for you to worry about. You're going to be fine. I don't think that you're low energy, practically bedridden because of your weight. I've known people who are very lean, who are very energetic. In fact, Las Cascadas, some of you know about the project, and I do want to talk about that for a couple minutes. The first time that Guzelle was here with me, she came to a yoga retreat in March. It'll be 6 years ago. She now lives on site for a couple of years plus. But when she first came here to fast, she came for a yoga retreat and then stayed to fast right afterwards, not quite 6 years ago. And we hiked the 2.5, 3 kilometer long trail down to the waterfalls. And, here was this very skinny woman, and I thought she's going to need some help. And I don't remember how difficult it was for her to get up, but I know she was the first person to get down there. Tons of energy. And again, 5'7", 88 pounds went on there. Okay. Hello there. Good to see you, Smale. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I'm glad you're here. Andre Vincent, good to see you. Gemma McPherson, nice to see you here. Jadel says, hi, Loren. What's the cause of canker sores? It's a good question. I think specific foods can be an issue, but I think really it's about the body being out of balance. Thanks so much for your compliment on the shirt. I don't wear shirts like this very often. Usually it's t-shirts or button-down shirts, but I have a few of these. How do you know if your body is clean? Well, unfortunately, if you've been living on the planet for 20 or 30 years or more and have made conventional choices for any number of years and lived around any kind of a city, etc., and haven't already fasted, probably at least a few times, I guarantee your body's not clean. But if you want to find out for yourself, take 3 or 4 days, ideally 4 days, and just rest and sip water. Okay? Most people are going to have symptoms. I was talking earlier about how, 2 weeks ago I did a 6-day fast and nobody here was aware of it because they couldn't tell. You'll be able to tell. If your body needs to detoxify, it'll be obvious. You'll start detoxifying if you're resting completely and just sipping water. That's how you can know for yourself. You don't have to trust me. Andre says, can you please talk about dental stuff? How difficult is it to regrow tooth holes? Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. I don't know the answer to the question. I've had some of my own teeth fill in, but that was 11 or 12 years between dentist visits. And so I don't know if that happened, that could have happened over the course of 11 or 12 years, a little tiny bit at a time where it wasn't even noticeable. I can't really tell you much more than that. I'm sorry. I don't really know much more. Raw Grace Yoga says, and you're so passionate, spirit fuels you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I mean, I take that as a significant compliment. I am indeed quite passionate about what I do because I've seen amazing things happen for people over and over again. Tanglewood in March will celebrate 25 years here, and we see miracles happening all the time. Now, not everyone's going to heal. There are some conditions, if there's already been too much damage, more than the body can handle, it may not be able to heal. Sometimes there are things that will require more than one fast. But in most cases, I mean, we'll see people seeing incredible benefits almost every single time, virtually every single time. Even people who have something that they can't heal from. I mean, we've had clients who were given a death sentence by their doctors, told they've got 2-3 weeks, a month or two to live, usually far outlive that in most cases. Although in one, I remember he was told he'd live a few weeks. That's all he did. He fasted with me. He died during their feeding process, but he was much happier. He was at home with his family and worked with me remotely. He had a massive tumor and felt much more comfortable and felt much better during the process, even though it was too late for his body to heal that. Sometimes it's just too late. There's been too much damage already. I'm going to look at one more question on Instagram, then I'll come back over to YouTube. Okay. And then I'm actually going to talk about Las Cascadas for a minute. If you ever got the corona, would you recommend to fast through it? Yes, of course. Absolutely. That's what I would do. Absolutely. That's what I would do anytime my body was ill with anything at all. If it's something I can't just live through, I would always fast if it were me. That's what to do. That's how our bodies heal as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Amanda Dangerfield, thanks so much, says try the IAOMT website to find a holistic dentist. That's great help. Thank you so much. Someone was asking about, Andre, I think, was asking about dentistry issues, teeth issues. There's a website you can go to, IAOMT website, IAOMT. Okay? All right. Let's see. Melissa says, hi, good morning. Greatly swollen lymph nodes in the neck immediately after breaking a 7-day fast. Lymphatic system processing toxins. Yes. Heavy allergic reaction. No. It's most likely because these are like filters, right? And I mean, we have major ones here and a whole bunch of them back here as well as in the armpits and groin, etc. But a lot of them are all the way around the head, around the neck. And yeah, they're filters and they'll get clogged sometimes. So that's probably what is going on there. After 3 days, nodes normal, no swelling or tenderness. Yeah, it just needed a little time to finish processing that stuff. All right, Maya is responding to the HPU, KPU, says it's a metabolic disorder with zinc and B6 deficiency. The symptoms are like extreme fatigue, food allergies, and so on. But I think maybe it just comes from an intoxication, maybe. Well, again, that's always the first place I would go. I would say, okay, is the body toxic and dehydrated, right? Because usually what's going on is that the body's toxic and dehydrated. And of course, nothing's going to work very well. A lot of people aren't going to be able to absorb the nutrients from the foods they're eating. Again, we've seen people who've had nutrient deficiencies and things that were plentiful in their diet. It's not that there's not enough of it, it's that their body isn't actively able to get what they need from it. And so if it were me, before I would do any medical intervention, no drugs, no anything, what I would do is I would fast. I would do it with experienced guidance because it makes a huge difference. And, I'm not the only fasting supervisor on the planet. I am probably the most experienced one. But if you want to, if you don't resonate with me, find someone you trust who has a lot of experience. They should have a lot of experience and do a supervised fast because it's an amazing thing what happens when you do that. Okay? Sunshine, I'm a 5'8" woman. I weigh 155 and I know I weigh too much. How do you know what your weight should be? Well, that's a difficult question to answer. I mean, you can go to height weight charts. Frankly, most of those height weight charts are skewed for the population, which means they're going to tell you that it's okay to be much heavier than you really should be because they're really just based on where average people are. And so I wouldn't trust that. But at 5, and of course it depends on your frame size, right? So I don't know if you can tell here, I have tiny wrists. I'm a 6 foot tall guy. I have a very, very small frame. And so, some people look at me and say, man, you're way too skinny. Okay, maybe, but my very small frame is actually packed with muscle and I'm very strong for my size. But because I have a very small frame, I'm going to carry much less weight than someone with a larger frame. That's what's natural. So, if I spoke with you, I mean, if you want to schedule a consultation, we can talk about this and I can look at your frame and give you a sense of what's appropriate for you. But it's impossible to tell you without that. I mean, there's probably a range. A woman who's 5'8", probably going to be somewhere in the one, like for someone very lean, could be as little as 125. For someone who has a much larger frame, maybe as heavy as 135, 140, but probably not more than that. Okay. And again, it's really not about weight. Of course, it's about body composition. I was just talking about in my own situation, I have relatively little body fat, much less than most guys do, and much more muscle mass than most guys my weight would carry. That's okay. But what if you're at a perfect weight? Let's say someone weighs, is 5'8". Let's say it's a woman who weighs 5'8" and she's 130 pounds. I would say that's probably a very good place for most women. Or let's say it's perfect for her frame size. That's a perfect weight for her. But she has very little muscle mass. A woman that tall should probably have close to 100 pounds of muscle mass. Let's say instead she's got 50 pounds of muscle mass and has way too much body fat. That's a problem. Okay. So it's really more important the body composition is proper than anything else. Okay. That's going to be the most important thing. A lot of people are carrying a whole bunch of waste. And one of the reasons that why most people think we should weigh much more than we do is because most people, as they get older, they've got tons of toxic stuff sitting in their intestines. And again, we see this here all the time. I mean, people argue with me all the time, but having fasted thousands of people for 26 days on average, we see people eliminating pounds and pounds and pounds of old, hard stuff. And so when you get rid of that, you're going to weigh much less than you would have otherwise. If you had the same frame size and you were carrying, some people are carrying 20 pounds or more of stuff in there. In fact, I had a client, some of you have heard this story. I might not have much time to talk about Las Cascadas today. Next week, we're going to talk about Las Cascadas. That's what we'll talk about next week. I had a client 2 years ago in December who was 50 years old. Left, he fasted 21 days. It was very powerful for him. Lots of benefits, as there are for most people. And he left here feeling good. He was very fit and strong, and he left here feeling good, but still had a bunch of stuff stuck in his system. And in fact, where there's a massive hard material there, until you can move. I mean, he did have a few bowel movements here, but not a lot of old hard material. He got home. He wrote to me. He left on. Everyone comes and goes on a Saturday. He wrote to me Sunday, a week after he got home. He's told me that the previous night he was he was eating dinner. He wasn't about to eat dinner. He was actually eating dinner when he felt the urge to go to the toilet. He went to the bathroom and filled the toilet bowl, completely filled the toilet bowl. Not a little bit, not a normal stool, but a lot. He said he did that several more times over the course of the night. He was weighing himself every morning. On Sunday morning, he weighed 10 pounds, which is, 4.7 or so, 4.6 or 7 kilos less than he did on Saturday morning. One day, just eliminating all that stuff. And that wasn't all. I mean, that wasn't all the stuff he had in there, but that's what happened in one night's time. Happy New Year, Loren. Have you seen success with healing varicose veins? Yeah, almost every single time. Varicose veins are often relatively easy. I mean, it depends on the specific situation, but most people are going to see varicose veins improve dramatically. So you know what? I did this before, and I'm going to do it again. Rachel just reminded me. Rachel Green says, hi, Loren, with a 5-pound contribution. Thank you. What are your thoughts on drinking through straws? What are my thoughts on drinking through straws? It's a good question. I don't know of any problems with drinking through straws. I mean, I suppose it might depend on what the straw is. So for instance, if you're using a straw made of Lead, that might be a problem because lead's highly toxic. Using a plastic straw might not be the best idea, not just for you, but also for the planet. Here we have straws. We have bamboo straws. We have straws that are made from avocado seeds. Very cool. It's a material they make through avocado seeds. Those are probably fine. Now, the only issue that occurs to me is when you drink through a straw, let's say I had a straw in this glass here that came out like that high. There would be a column of air that I'd be taking in every time. And so some people are going to wind up burping as a result of taking all this air in. Okay. And so, I prefer to drink without a straw most of the time. There are times when a straw might be perfectly appropriate or, makes sense. It might be easier. But yeah. Amanda's 90 pounds at 4'11". Right. Thank you, Amanda. I've been fasting for 3 weeks and are constantly at 116 pounds. Is it okay to continue? Well, honestly, I don't really encourage anyone to fast without having experienced guidance for more than a few days, because the question is, do you really know what you're doing? Your weight can't stay at 116 pounds the whole time. If it looks like that's what's happening, I understand that's what the scale says, but that means that you're holding a bunch of water, okay? Because your body is using its own tissue, fat, and muscle for fuel. And so your weight has to go down every single day. There's no other way around it. It has to go down every single day. If it looks like your weight's not changing, it means you are every day, coincidentally, exactly offsetting your weight loss, which is going to happen every single day, with the amount of water you're holding. It's pretty coincidental. It's pretty surprising. My guess is when you say it's always 116, maybe you're not weighing every day, or maybe, some days it's 115 and a half, and some days it's 116.2. But if you're staying in the same area, it means that you're offsetting the weight you're losing with water that you're actually holding in the intestines. And it could be rehydrating the body too. If you start off your fast very dehydrated, then you're going to rehydrate if you're drinking enough water. And so you're going to gain weight because your tissue will weigh more with more water in it. Okay, I'm going to take a question here. I just remembered, this is the second time around with YouTube. In the first time around, I had posted the link to the Fruity Friday. And what made me think of it is Rachel actually helped organize that. And so Rachel Green, who just asked me the question about straws, Rachel, you just reminded me, and I've just posted the link here again. And again, if you're with me on Instagram or just joining me, I will be live this afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. Costa Rica time, talking about fasting and answering questions. You can join the conversation, but what you need to do is register for the call. It's a Zoom call. You can do it on this YouTube feed, which will show up on the YouTube video, or if you go to my Facebook page, you can do it there. And Rachel, if you're still here and you want to post another way for them to reach this, I guess you'd have to look at the YouTube to find that. And that's the problem, is I can't really post much on the Instagram. Started fruits and veggies and still get acne. Well, when you say started fruits and veggies, I don't know what that means. Do you mean this morning? Do you mean 37 years ago? Do you mean last month? Eating optimally doesn't ensure that everything heals. It just gives the body better conditions to be able to heal. Some things are difficult and may not heal without fasting. Fasting is the single most powerful way to allow the body to cleanse and heal itself. And I'm not sure if I just realized if I didn't complete with the last person, fasting alone. What I would recommend doing would be probably ending your fast and fasting again with experienced guidance, because you're going to get much better results and probably will be much safer. Okay, there was a question here from K89 Souls. It says, I live at the Chiripo Valley, which is here in Costa Rica. I'm hoping on going to Nosara to fast with you this 2022. Thanks for your inspiration. You are very, very welcome. We're not in Nosara, but we're not too far from there. We're up in the mountains, about an hour from Samara, actually, a little further from Nosara. But yes, come join us. It's an amazing thing. If you can follow simple coaching, I can virtually guarantee you it's going to be the single most beneficial thing you've ever done. Okay, so thanks for speaking up. It's of course I'd be happy to meet someone else living here in Costa Rica. That's always nice. What are your thoughts on Dr. Sebi teachings? Honestly, I never followed Dr. Sebi. I know he's passed away several years ago, but I don't really know so much about what they're treating symptoms, just like the medications, which came from herbs originally, do. But other than that, I don't know so much about what he taught. Can dry foods throw your body off balance? Well, dry foods will dehydrate your body. Most people are dehydrated because they've been living their entire lives on a diet that's way too low in water content. That will make the body dehydrated. Where are we? Let me change the angle here so I can see a little bit better. Good morning, Loren. Always good to see and hear your massive chunks of wisdom. Thanks so much, Krista. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. They recommend big amounts of zinc, like 250 milligrams per day. This is going back to that issue you were talking about with zinc. I mean, you can try that, but it's hard to believe that that's the issue. Why would anybody need to be consuming that much zinc? Obviously, there's a reason that that's happening, and this is the issue. There are many situations where somebody has a deficiency or an imbalance, and they think, well, if I just take the substance, I'm fixing the problem. But you're not, because there's a reason there was a problem. There's a reason there was an imbalance. There's a reason there was a deficiency. If we don't address the underlying reason for the problem, then the problem is going to resurface. As soon as you stop taking tons of zinc, which nobody should consume really, then the problem is going to resurface. You haven't fixed anything, okay? And so, that's not an approach I would personally endorse or recommend. You can do it, but I don't really think that's the way to do it. Is allergy and swollen lymph nodes connected? Yeah, I mean, you can have swollen lymph nodes when you have allergies. Is a dehydrated and toxic body always constipated? No, not always, but often. If you're eating perfectly, you can still be dehydrated. And what was the other thing? Dehydrated. You can still be dehydrated and toxic. Your body might be in the process of trying to cleanse and heal and hydrate, but you might still be dehydrated and toxic, even though you're not going to be constipated. I mean, the stuff you're eating should leave your body relatively easily. That doesn't mean there isn't a whole bunch more stuff in there. But yes, we wind up swallowing air when we use straws. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I said earlier, Diane, but thank you so much. People getting digestive upset. Yeah, I mean, some people may. Again, I mean, the bottom line is, the first thing is, if using a straw works for you and you feel good and don't burp and don't have any digestive issues, then great. It was probably fine. On the other hand, if you have a problem using straws, even if everyone said, no, it's fine to use straws, and you use one and don't feel good, well, obviously stop using it. Encouraging to hear. Thanks for answering the varicose veins question. You're welcome. The stripping chemical injections are offered does not resonate. No, of course not. Of course not. I mean, injecting chemicals into your body is not the way to fix anything, right? Surgery is not. I mean, you can remove those veins, but there's a very, very good chance, a very high probability of being able to heal most of that by fasting long enough and properly. And I'm just noticing I'm now a few minutes late for my next call. So Zolt, I've got to go. I'm sorry. Oh, great. Zolt has just posted, thank you, a link for today's event, the interview here with Ronnie on Instagram. So if you look at the Instagram feed, you will find that. Thank you so much, Zolt. I appreciate that very much. I apologize. I know there's lots of other questions here. I'm not going to have time to get to them. That's common. Oh, and we just got, thank you, Loren, from Martha. Thank you so much. A $35 contribution. Folks, I've got to run. I'm a little behind schedule. I just realized. I hope you have a fantastic day, a fantastic weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you. I will be back next week at the same time. I hope to see you then. Take care, everybody. Oh, and this afternoon, come join me on Fruity Fridays. Again, that's 1 to 3 p.m. Costa Rica time at the link that Zolt has provided on Instagram and that I've provided here on YouTube. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.